66 million years ago, Earth was a very different place. Lush forests, vast plains, and raging rivers were home to the largest animals the planet had ever known. Dinosaurs of every shape and size roamed freely. Predators hunted, herbivores grazed, and the skies were filled with flying reptiles. Life thrived, seemingly eternal, on a world shaped by millions of years of evolution. The air vibrated with the sounds of a primeval world, a symphony of roars, calls, and the heavy tread of giants. Herds of triceratops, with their iconic 3 horns, moved like living fortresses across the landscape. Graceful hadrosaurs foraged in wetlands, their calls echoing through the dense vegetation, and towering above them all, the fearsome Tyrannosaurus rex, the undisputed king of this ancient kingdom, stalked its prey with terrifying efficiency. Overhead, pterosaurs with wingspans wider than small aircraft soared on thermal updrafts, masters of the prehistoric skies. For over 150 million years, this was the status quo. The age of reptiles was at its peak, an era of unparalleled biological diversity and power. But the calm was deceptive. Far beyond the horizon, a massive asteroid traveled through the darkness of space, destined to collide with Earth. For millions of years, such impacts were rare, but when they happened, the results were catastrophic. This object, measuring nearly 10 kilometers wide, was on a direct course toward the planet, and no living creature could anticipate the disaster to come. Hurtling through the void at tens of thousands of kilometers per hour, it was a cosmic bullet aimed at the heart of the Cretaceous world. Its journey was silent, an unseen harbinger of doom. On Earth, the days continued as they always had. The sun rose and set, seasons changed, and the great cycle of life and death played out. The dinosaurs, in their magnificent reign, were completely unaware that their world was on a collision course with destiny. The sky they looked up at held a secret, a tiny, growing point of light that would soon spell their end. It was a threat from beyond, an extraterrestrial force that would rewrite the story of life on our planet. Dinosaurs, like all animals, had instincts. Some began to sense the change in the atmosphericidal tremors, heat waves, and a strange light in the sky. Herds of herbivores panicked. Predators became agitated. For the first time, the rulers of Earth were vulnerable, confronted by a force beyond their comprehension. An unnatural stillness would fall over the forest, quickly replaced by a rising tide of anxiety. Creatures that had lived by predictable rhythms for generations were suddenly thrown into chaos. Herds of plant-eaters stampeded without reason, their collective fear a thunderous wave crashing through the undergrowth. Even the mighty T-Rex, a creature that knew no fear, became restless, its roars carrying a note of confusion and alarm. The sky itself seemed different. A faint, ominous glow began to grow, a celestial warning that only the most sensitive animals could perceive. Pterosaurs screeched and took to the air in vast, disorganized flocks, trying to escape a danger they could not see or understand. The planet was holding its breath. As the asteroid entered the atmosphere, friction created a fiery blaze, lighting up the sky like a second sun. Heat waves radiated across the surface. Forests trembled, and the planet prepared for the ultimate collision. Nothing on Earth could stop it. In its final moments, the asteroid became a terrifying spectacle. It streaked across the sky, a blazing scar of light, visible for thousands of kilometers. Animals on the ground paused, their instincts screaming that something was terribly wrong. The air grew hot, and the ground began to shake with increasing intensity. The incoming object was no longer just a point of light. It was a mountain of fire descending from the heavens. The sheer scale of it was incomprehensible, a vision of apocalypse made real. The moments ticked by, each one stretching into an eternity of dread as the world below braced for an impact of unimaginable power. And then, with unimaginable force, the asteroid struck the Yucatan Peninsula. The impact released more energy than billions of nuclear bombs combined. A massive fireball erupted, shock waves flattened forests, and tsunamis raced across oceans. The sky turned dark with smoke and debris. For dinosaurs near the impact, death was instant. The earth itself shook, forests burned, and the seas boiled. The moment of impact was a moment of pure annihilation. The asteroid vaporized instantly, carving a crater over 180 kilometers wide and 20 kilometers deep. Trillions of tons of rock and dust were blasted into the atmosphere. The shockwave that radiated outward moved faster than the speed of sound, leveling everything in its path for hundreds of kilometers. Forests were flattened in an instant. A wall of heat, thousands of degrees hot, incinerated all life unlucky enough to be close. Gigantic tsunamis, some a kilometer high, surged across the oceans, flooding coastal plains and washing away entire ecosystems. The world was plunged into a nightmare of fire and fury. But the devastation did not end there. The dust and ash from the impact spread across the planet, blocking sunlight for months. Photosynthesis stopped, temperatures dropped, and ecosystems collapsed. Without plants, herbivores starved. Without herbivores, predators followed. The chain reaction of death was relentless, a planetary-scale extinction event that wiped out nearly 75% of all species on Earth. The immediate blast was just the beginning. The real killer was the aftermath. The immense cloud of debris thrown into the sky enveloped the entire globe, creating an impact winter. Darkness fell over the planet. Without sunlight, plants withered and died. The foundation of the food chain crumbled. The great herds of herbivores, from the armored Ankylosaurus to the giant Argentinosaurus, began to starve. With their prey gone, the fearsome predators, including T-Rex and Velociraptor, were doomed to the same fate. It was a slow, agonizing extinction. One by one, the lights went out across the planet as the age of reptiles choked in the darkness. Millions of years of dominance ended in a few catastrophic hours. The largest animals the planet had ever seen vanished. T-Rex, Triceratops, Velociraptor, and countless other species disappeared forever. Only small mammals, birds, and a few resilient reptiles survived the apocalypse. In the final tragic moments, we see the fall of an empire. A lone Tyrannosaurus, weakened and starving, lets out one last desperate roar into a smoky, dying world before collapsing. A herd of Triceratops lies motionless, buried under a blanket of ash. The great sea reptiles and the soaring pterosaurs met a similar fate, their reign ending in poisoned oceans and darkened skies. The world they had ruled for so long had become their tomb. But in the shadows of this devastation, new opportunities arose. Creatures that had lived in the shadow of the dinosaurs, small burrowing mammals, and the ancestors of modern birds found a world empty of its former masters. Their small size and adaptability were their salvation. In the months that followed, the Earth was unrecognizable. Forests were gone, oceans were still turbulent, and the sky was dark. But life endured. Small creatures adapted and survived, laying the foundation for the rise of mammals and, eventually, humans. The age of dinosaurs had ended, but their legacy would shape the planet for millions of years to come. Slowly, painstakingly, the planet began to heal. The sun's light eventually pierced through the lingering haze. Hardy ferns were among the first plants to recolonize the scorched earth, creating a green carpet over the gray ash. The small, shrew-like mammals that had hidden underground emerged into a new world, a world of possibility. They were the pioneers of a new era, the age of mammals. From these humble survivors would spring an incredible diversity of life, from whales in the oceans to primates in the trees, eventually leading to the species that is now telling this story, us. The story of the dinosaurs' extinction is a reminder of how fragile life is and how powerful the forces of nature can be. In the blink of an eye, giants can fall. But even in devastation, life finds a way. The Earth continues to evolve, carrying the memories of the world that was lost forever. When we look at the fossilized bones of a T-Rex or a Triceratops, we are looking at a testament to both life's incredible power and its vulnerability. Their story is a dramatic chapter in the epic of our planet, a tale of a lost world that continues to fascinate and inspire us. It teaches us that change is the only constant, and that from every ending, there is a new beginning. Thanks for watching. If you found this journey back in time fascinating, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more stories from our planet's incredible past.